that has actually helped me in my career now because, as everyone knows, hairdressers have the gift of the gab, but also discretion. There's so much we're managing all the time. And I think you meet thousands, depending on how long you're a hairdresser, you meet thousands of people day in, day out, and you're talking all the time whilst doing this intimate piece of work. And fast forward 10 years ago, I became a assistant project manager. I worked in construction. We're delivering change in the built environments. That's how I actually came to rail. So I delivered a project in rail, an office move, and then somehow I ended up doing lots of other projects that's led me to where I am now. So it's been a real mixed bag, but I think the theme has been successful delivery.
Good morning, how are you, Lee? How are you?
I am absolutely pucker.
You are proper man, okay? Absolutely pucker. But yeah, all good in your world. What's been going on?
Oh, lots. I've just had a top secret text, and
What?
I can't say too much about it. A top secret text that I am thrilled about. It's got to be confirmed, but some really, really exciting news that
Are you
I
going to be
hope to
James
share.
Bond?
Not quite, but equally iconic.
Well, this is big, Lee. Oh my God, you do this to us a lot, right? Tease it up. When will we know? How many
We w-
episodes have we got away?
Yeah, it'll next few weeks or whatever, and then honestly, once it's been revealed, I will reveal all. But I guess for the listeners on this, welcome back to leadership. Actually, it's not love, is it?
No,
It's
it's
leadership.
leadership.
Actually, yeah. So lots of exciting stuff. And I'm like busting them. Like as a kid, when it's Christmas, I call it the Christmas feeling. I got a text just before we started to record this. I've got the Christmas feeling. It's that
Lovely.
exciting.
Love that. Well, it is like that. It is getting close to Christmas. Like today is a mark day because it's the first time, it's a girls thing. Uchenna, I'll bring you in a minute. I put my tights on. So it marks in the year when you have to go into your tights drawer, make sure that, hasn't got any holes in. And because I haven't actually been the shops to get any. I was really glad I found a pair. So yeah, it's the start of a new era.
I didn't know we were going there so early, but I
There
get
we
it,
go.
but there's definitely seasons in the year, so I
Seasons, the
absolutely
seasons.
acknowledge that.
And
And
series 2, we're
I
really
know,
into it now. So yeah, really getting cracking. But I'll stop talking. We'll stop talking about secret texts and tights. And I'm really excited that we've got our guest today. Do you want to tell us more, Lee? And
I,
welcome.
yeah. So Uchenna, it's such a privilege and joy to have you on the show, and I've worked with you for a little while, and you know what, the thing that's really galvanized me is like how personable you are and how you bring everybody together and really lead through that. So really excited to have you. You're just an absolute joy to work with. It's an absolute privilege, and yeah, we Lisa and I talk about a messy class, and about where we've got things wrong, and leadership is messy and it's human and it's complex and it can be ambiguous at times. And actually, I guess my thing for you that stands out is that you just cut through all that noise and make stuff happen, but bring everyone seamlessly together with you. And I know I've been a project manager in the past and got that way wrong. I made loads of mistakes and frustrated a lot of people. So, yeah, really excited to have you on and learn loads more about what you do and how you do it.
Welcome, Uchenna. It's really good to meet you. I've been really excited to meet you.
Thank you, Lee, for your kind word, and thank you, Lisa. Yeah, I'm really happy to be here. And Lee, I mean, working with you the last few months has been absolutely an eye-opener into just how passion and how passion can be infectious. So yeah, really,
Thanks.
yeah.
Thank you. I
And
appreciate it.
oh, yeah, nice. And I know I've been in the world of that matrix management and program management and project management, and it can be messy, and you're often spinning lots of plates, and you'll have lots of different people that you have to bring on board, and we'll really dive into that. But let's start with a bit of an easy one, I guess, is when you're up against it and in the height of all those things, how do you kind of relax get some, get some calm, bring some calm to your team? What are the sort of tips or things that you might do in those messy moments before we dive in a bit more?
So in the messy moments where it's wild, it's crazy, you can see lots of different um personalities, everyone sort of trying to override one another. I often just I like to be fun, and I often just take a seat. I sit back and just think, what is actually going on here? How can I really want to diffuse and make people feel safe, have fun? It's not that serious, even though our work and our projects are often very serious. For me, I often just try to bring everyone back to reality that it just doesn't need to be as harsh or as critical or as wild as it needs to be. And I think I just find that that tends to work, reminding people that we can have fun along the way. I think it's
Absolutely.
really, really important.
You've got me already. I love it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Unless we are really saving lives, or fighting battles,
exactly,
then
exactly.
sometimes it's really good to have a bit of that perspective. And we're a long time in work, aren't we? So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
absolutely love that fun bit. But Lee, actually, Uchenna, you've worked together. It's really good to have a bit more of your journey, really, and understand a little bit more about how you got to where you are, and then we can dive into some of those aspects. That would be really great.
I'll let you share, you, Uchenna, if that's all right.
Well, okay. Earlier this year, I met Lee. I think February, March. So it's been a few months working on a huge topic, such project, which is violence against women and girls, societal issue. But really, one of the arms of that program is the White Ribbon being a campaign. We're an accredited organisation. Um, we're doing a road to gender equity. So we're trying to get to a place where our organisation is sort of about 50-50 split of gender equity, utopia. That's what we're trying to get to. And we sometimes these kind of topics are quite difficult to sort of unpack internally. And Lee was recommended amongst other consultants, but he was highly recommended, should I say. And when we met him, as we did others, and when we met him, it was sort of, he stood out as someone who was really passionate, as I mentioned before. um he showed us his proposal, and for us, we just thought he's the right person to work with. And literally from the moment he's come on board, there's been such momentum as within the team. We're achieving and achieved quite a lot in the last few months. And so yeah, it's been a really, really fun journey. But and it's interesting because it's been a fun journey for a topic that is so it's such a huge issue. It's been quite amazing the last few months just to be able to have fun on something so serious, and to something that we know is going to make an impact in the next 10 years.
It's an amazing topic. They'll know I am a member of the White Ribbon anyway, and it's a personal mission for me as well. So I'm really heartfelt that you're both, working on something that's so important to myself as well, and a huge amount of people out there. And it's tackling something that often it goes like a mountain, isn't it? That how do you make a difference in this? But making some real inroads to that. And it's great that the government have got on board in that space as well. Um, so it's great that you're there today. But how have you got to that yourself? So what's been your journey in terms of getting onto this project? What's your background?
So my background is a very interesting background. It's not linear at all. I mean, I can go as far back as, I don't know, 10 years ago is when I came into project management. Prior to that, believe it or not, I was actually a hairdresser.
Oh, I love that. You
And it's
still do
something that I
that?
still do, when I get the chance to do. But that was my background. And to be fair, I think that has actually helped me in my career now because, as everyone knows, hairdressers have the gift of the gab, but also discretion. There's so much for managing all the time. And I think you meet thousands, depending on how long you're a hairdresser, you meet thousands of people day in, day out, and you're talking all the time whilst doing this intimate piece of work. And fast forward 10 years ago, I became a assistant project manager. I worked in construction, and we're delivering change in the built environment. So, alterations to buildings, office relocations, that kind of thing. And that's how I actually came to rail. So I delivered a project in rail, an office move, and then somehow I ended up doing lots of other projects that's led me to where I am now. So it's been a real mixed bag, but I think the theme has been successful delivery.
Yeah.
um, and I think successful delivery, and that's what sort of led me here on this project. And I think successful delivery with the right attitude, because I think as with hairdressing, things can go wrong, construction, things can definitely go wrong, and they did, but it's really how sort of it's handled along the way. And I think now on this piece of work where it's quite sensitive, it's national, it's really big, there's loads of stakeholders. I almost feel like all of my background, none of it's been wasted. It sort of prepared me for this large piece of work that we're doing now. So yeah, that's my journey.
I love that. That's human there. That's
Yeah.
human leadership, isn't
I
it?
did not know
God.
that.
Didn't I tell
That
you?
is, that is hot off the press, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Put your hair in.
Tells me a
Put your
lot.
hair in.
Yeah.
Wow, that is really good. I love that. And you're right, it's the grounding, isn't it? Being
Mm.
able to talk and discretion and all
Yeah.
the different things we confide our deepest secrets to our
Yeah.
hairdressers.
Yeah.
And they look after our mane, and that's really important to us as well.
Yeah.
So that's a really good step into project management and where you've got to today.
I'm glad I actually got myself presentable then today. I was a bit worried now. I'm gonna have
You
a
look
different
amazing, you.
perspective. Oh. but I'm really interested actually when you shifted into the world then of project management from hairdressing. How was that transition for you?
Um, the transition. So the transition was, I think it was good. And the reason why it was good is because I had a mentor at the time who was a mentor slash friend. And he actually just said, "Oh, I think you'd be a great project manager." And that was literally how it started. That's how the journey began. It was someone, who knew me, taking the time to really think about, you know, where my skills could fit. I didn't actually know what project management was. Um, 10, 15 years ago. I didn't know what it was. And it was him who actually said, I think you'd be good at this. And he actually sponsored me to go and do the training, and I found the transition quite smooth. I genuinely cannot talk about my project management career without some foundation, because I do believe that that's what has made the transition so smooth. It's a lot of the same skills. You're juggling so much at the same time. There's people and stakeholders, there's deliverables, and there's a tangible or something at the end, which is for me, I found it quite smooth. So yeah, I think I'd say that advocacy and someone.
I was thinking of the cheesy gag of that's why you're a cut above the rest. So I was it took me a
Hey,
little while.
hey.
That joke's. I'm sorry, I've got nothing better than that. Nothing better.
We love a dad joke, Lee. We love it.
Yeah.
You tend, I guess, being part of project management and something Lee has said to me already, is something you're really passionate about, is the matrix management.
Yeah.
And I'm a really big fan of Amy Edmondson, and she talks about this in the word of teaming, but really it is about matrix management. What's your understanding of that? And what do you bring to it, or why is that something so important to you in your world of work?
For me, matrix management, that's probably one of the only structures I've worked in, or the management structures I've worked in the last decade. Um, and the way I see it is it's managing or being managed by several different reporting lines at the same time. And as you know, as a project manager, well, for me, I'm constantly, maybe every year, sometimes less, I'm meeting a new team, new deliverable. You've got these new set of people, and you've quickly got to build relationship, understand the brief, create a plan, and influence, or at least work with the whole team to get to the end. Is it, and for me, it it's such a dynamic, energetic experience, and it's not like the traditional management that I would have had in my early career, and it just takes a different set of skills, that I think really this is what the world looks like now. And so even at the very beginning, I used to think, "Oh, this is tough." It was really tough, but I've grown to enjoy it, actually. And I think it's the way the world is going. Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah.
say that's how I see matrix management.
I've seen lots of that as well, Lisa, in terms of, I guess, a more agile methodology in organizations, a move to sprints, kind of lean Six Sigma type scenario. And actually, I imagine there's elements of that that are much tougher, because if you, like, how do you inspire people? How do you keep people on track and build relationships? And it's not just transactional to deliver a thing, particularly when times are tough. Have you had tough times when it's been hard to get people back together or back on task, or back on the plan, if you like, whether that be budgetary or timescales? Does any of that kind of resonate?
Yeah, I mean, I think it does resonate. Recently, well, one project I had, someone actually died, um, whilst we're sort of on the project, really tight timescales, and you know, I think the last person, I think his name was Greg, I might be wrong, but I guess you can edit it out. He talked about, oh, sorry, that was on something else, but psychological safety, and actually sometimes being someone who is go, 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 we're going to get to the end, which is very much me. You can forget that people are dealing with real life. And I think the matrix management for me has made me have to really, really get to know people quickly, but genuinely. And so, yes, I think for me now, and just in that matrix management space, I'm actually far more conscious of um, building genuine relationships, because that experience kind of shook me that yes, we've got a deadline to meet, and uh, we've got building to build, and this is it, and everyone can see it. But actually, these are real lives, and I'm not in a team where I'm going to have the same people with me for the next 10, 15, 20 years. We're on this for 1 year and that's it. And so actually the relationship becomes far more important. And that's one of the things that I found in the matrix sort of management framework, is that I'm genuinely trying to get to know who I'm working with for the time that I'm working with them. And one of the things I spoke to Lee about is the legacy, is living my legacy now in that matrix management moment, because once they've gone, moved on to another project, another country, whatever, or in this situation, it was death. I don't want it to be, oh, we made it to the end and that was it. Or we delivered and we've got that tick in the box, and and I've got another project under my LinkedIn profile. I want it to actually be, this is a relationship we had, I got to know you, or through difficult times, but this is where it is, and it's a celebration. So yeah, I'd say that that's sort of my sort of thinking on how I get through the sort of tough times in matrix management.
I think that's really special, Uchenna. You might take it for granted, but actually, just hearing that there are so much in the world of change where it is about, getting to the end goal. Maybe not even delivering, because a lot of change projects do not deliver what they set up to deliver, but that's a whole other
Yeah,
podcast. But, just to get over the line and, and put that as well, I was part of that project.
yeah,
But creating those relationships, it means that who knows what happens in the future as well. You've created that
yeah,
legacy, but what do they go on to do, and what changes and difference can they make from the
yeah,
project that they've learned all those skills along the way? And I do think, that this way of working is going to form part of the future of work. You know, if I
Yeah.
was a futurist, and I can see it already now, that, you know, there's going to be a lot more of this, especially as teams, you know, are more dispersed, and, you know, and the turnover, and, you know, and different things. I think we have to look at things differently. And I was really, you noticed, you said kind of 4 things around what you have to do. And I don't know if you could say, but kind of, I'd really like to get under the skin of what your thinking is. You know, you've only got a year. So you said, I've got to recruit a team, I've got to build relationships, I've got to build a plan, and I've got to influence stakeholders. You know, I know there's lots of other things, but those are really core, like they're ingrained in that. So if we could get under your skin and in your thinking, what are the kind of the top things you do in each of those? How do you recruit your team? How do you build those relationships? And, you know, getting to know them. Is there anything that you think about in a plan, because it's only short term, and, you know,
Um,
influencing stakeholders? That's a big question.
It was a big question, but the one thing that genuinely I always do is I try to think about, I ask a lot of questions. I think because most times you come in to a place, everyone's already there. They are the experts, and you've got the leadership, you've got everyone already there. And for me, I'm very conscious of stepping on people's toes. And also the people element is people want to feel special, or at least they want to feel appreciated. So for me, I genuinely ask loads of questions. So even down to recruitment, what the plan should look like. I spend a lot of time in the first few months trying to work out, you know, who we already have as existing in the organization, who might be able to help me with some of the answers to the questions that I have, because there's usually a lot of questions. And I've actually found the people to be most valuable. I don't know if you need to edit this out, but I found the PAs for me have just been like gold. They tend to know absolutely everything and unlock a lot of doors, things that you won't think about. When I look at my time in construction, when we were doing a lot of the moving, it was the security guards and the facilities teams that I would literally spend a lot of my time asking loads of questions. What I found was when you had to deliver something at 6 a.m. in the morning or on a Saturday, it was them that would, I shouldn't say break the rules, but they would make um they would make allowances, make allowances, or they'll be able to tell me you can't do this, but you might be able to do this. And so I just found asking a lot of questions, or for me anyway, asking a lot of questions to everybody at every level of the business, for me, it's just completely invaluable. And then in terms of and it's sort of working with those who are already in the organization to see what will work. And then you can sort of design a plan from there. And I mean, on the program that we're on now, sort of still doing that. And it's interesting. I'm now having conversations with social media team who I've never had to consult before. But I had a conversation just yesterday and I thought, wow, I didn't think of that. Oh my goodness, I didn't even know that this is what this team are doing. And so I think, yeah, those initial conversations, those foundation conversations, asking lots of questions at the beginning, they help me shape the plan. Um, you know, and all the other bits that come with delivering a project or a program. So yeah.
I love that, and a lot of that resonates, right, in reality, because what I've heard you say there, and definitely correct me if I'm wrong, is it's actually about valuing everybody within the organization and really seeing and you talked about being genuine earlier. That comes through and that shines through from the work we've done. But I think that is so important. And let's be honest, and I've definitely seen examples of this. People can see right through when people are not being genuine or when they just come and ask loads of questions just for their own benefit. So it's
Yeah.
often like, actually, what can I give you in return for your time, your input, you know, when you need it and space? You've also talked about kind of the diversity of and being curious around what others are doing and
Mm.
about maybe where you can help them or
Yeah.
they help you. And I go back actually thinking about my mum, not in a formal saying, but she was brilliant as a mum and as a parent, almost doing a skills trade, you know, having kids in at certain times and then saying, oh, it's all right, well, do you mind taking Lee to football or whatever the thing was? And it's just swapping the trades, but treating people as human beings, irrespective of title, and giving them presence, being curious, showing interest in them and seeing where they can add value.
Yep.
That is leadership. You know, whether that's title or not, whether that's authority or not, matrix or formal,
Yeah.
you're leading. Because actually, you know, and we've had others on this podcast actually talking about followship
Mm.
as opposed to leadership and leading others. You're describing, to me anyway, what you just described is how do you get people to follow and therefore how do you influence them and get stuff
Lee's
done.
really good at he's really good at summarizing. When I'm talking, he'll always write words, and I love it. And I'm like, yes, that's exactly it, Lee. So yeah, you've summarized it perfectly. I think that's what I tried to do.
A bit of a cheat. I'm learning off Lisa, but you know, hey ho.
Thanks, Lee. Don't know about that. I think, the question stuff, you would probably go, oh, well, we could have sent loads of things like that, but that is really simple, but really important, and it gets missed all the time. And I think, as Lee said, it brings in that diversity of thinking as well. We're asking out of the box and, and really trying to challenge that moving forward. And, it's a really good way to set up. But I guess, Uchenna, along the way, especially as now, you are dealing with some of these trickier emotional projects. So, sometimes, if there's a real product at the end, you might be able to see some of that. So you must come up with some tricky stakeholders. You don't need to tell us who on here.
No.
Tricky stakeholders or some real complexities. There's that political landscape. And so when you and your team are up against it, and you come up with that complexity, how do you handle that? What kind of is your go-to positions to try and influence and move things forward?
That's a really good question, and it's very relevant because it's happening now. Uh, I know I sound like I'm repeating myself, but back to the same conversations, but this time really identifying who can help and who can provide some insight into, because I don't know everything. And actually, what I'm finding is on this particular piece of work, it's so organic. It's live. It's happening as It's like we take one step, it's done. Right, we're learning something new. So what I'm finding is I'm having to really dig deep and sort of be more strategic and ask more strategic questions, be more visible, and actually take a lot more time to read, listen, do research, ask questions, um, get my senior stakeholders involved, and they're able to sort of advise. So I think what I'm finding now, yeah, advice, guidance, is what is sort of helping at this stage. So where it's tricky, where it's political, really leaning on those who have that expert knowledge, have skin in the game, have the experience that can do they can do the moving or heavy lifting for us to and remove all the blockers. I'm sort of having to lean more that way and sort of rely on, okay, I'm good at this, but I know I'm this, and identify who is good at that and who has that level of influence that we need. Um, and I must say, I've never been in that position before. Most of the projects and programs that I've worked on, um, that the issues and the complexities they've been ones that you can sort of sort out. And now I'm finding that as I'm growing with sort of this leadership journey, it's completely different. It's far more complex, and so I'm really, really seeing the benefit and value of you know those who have far much more experience, those who have a lot more wisdom. But I think that's what I'm finding. And actually, when I begin to ask them questions, it's like, wow, seeing it like that, I didn't know what to do. I would have just buried my head in the sand. And I find that actually they've made or made my life a lot more easier to navigate the tricky political relationships, and there's loads.
There must be. There must be.
Yeah.
I think what that brings to me is kind of your ability to stay grounded, and human and ask the relationship stuff. But there is a need at this level of leadership that you have to become strategic as well. So you have to chunk down your thinking, and like really get into the ground, but chunk right up and go, who else could I get inspiration, ideas, challenge, advice, mentorship from? And it's having that really good wide span of leadership, that can drive that forward. And, that's fantastic that you're able to do that. Even if you're even just starting or experiencing that, wow, imagine, how you're gonna, evolve and grow as well as part of this amazing program.
And I guess then just moving on from that, then what's next for you? I mean, and what's your aspiration in leadership? Because it coins to me that you've got a lot of the skills and capability and qualities of an amazing leader. Actually, what are you doing for self-learning, self-discovery, and what's next?
Well, thank you, Lee. So what's next? Well, uh, I'll tell you a story, a real one. So early this year, I went to a Women in Leadership conference in Dubai for a few days. When I was there, I went to do an exercise. These are really established women from all over the world, and I just wanted to be in the room. I just thought, oh, I want to do that. It's International Women's Day week, and I think I just want to go and see. And then we had to do this exercise where we had to understand our core values, find out what they are, and then think about what we want our life to look like in the future, based on the exercise we did. And in the evening, on one of the days, I just sat down and I thought, hmm, well, I did it. Took a long time. So even when I got back home, I was still working with it to try and find out what are my core values. But what I found is that my foundation is there. But if I want to, if I want to get anywhere, if I want to build anything, I kind of needed to go a bit deeper. And so, yeah, I was quite happy with where I was. And to be honest, I'm a background person. I think most project managers are. So I can do all the stuff in the background quite well, deliver, and I'm happy because I'm ticking off my own, yes, I've done it, I finished, I got to the end, and I want to do the next one. But what I found is that actually, if I want to go on this leadership journey, which I've made the decision to do, I'm going to need to dig a bit deeper. And so I realized that I do have gaps in my foundations. I hate stuff like finance. I just find it so ridiculous and crazy. And it's one of the things I run away from, economics, all of that. So actually, I'm going to need to, I want to learn. I want to just have a better foundation to lead myself and to lead others. I actually don't know where I'm going to be in the future, if I'm going to be quite honest with you. And so what I'm trying to do is develop myself so that whatever opportunity presents itself along the way, I'll be ready-ish, or at least I'll have the sort of skills that I need and feel confident enough to lead myself and lead others. So I can't say what that will look like, but one of the things I am doing is study it. And so I've decided to go ahead and do a master's program because I want to develop myself in the areas in which I feel that I'm lacking. And so that's what I'm working on at the moment. And one of the things that came out of that conference, someone talked about a book called Half Life, or sort of talked about the American football game, which I've never watched, but the premise is that, you play the first half and it's like, and then you go for your huddle and then you come back with a strategy of what you want the second half to be like. And I sort of realized, okay, I've done my first half. I think that sort of shows my age. Done my first half. This is my huddle time. And this is what I want. I'm putting together a strategy for the future. Because we don't know what it's going to look like. And I think sometimes you just need to take time away. Be honest with yourself. What did I do well? What did I enjoy? What have I enjoyed in my career so far? And then what do I want to build on? So I know what I don't like and I know what I won't be doing. And build on what I do like. And I do really enjoy working with people. I do like managing change. I think it's so exciting. Whereas I know there's some people that couldn't even imagine anything worse. So my husband he doesn't want to hear that. He likes to just stick to what he's doing. But I just love doing something new all the time, meeting new people all the time, talking about learning something new all the time. So yeah, I'm on this journey, just learning this master's program and hoping that at the end of it, sort of develop myself as a more confident, a more grounded leader, a bit more strategic as well. So yeah, that's
Mic
the plan.
drop.
And what would you say to anyone listening to this that's at half time? that is just like going, they've not done the huddle yet, but they're just at half time, to use that analogy?
I'd say like halftime is so important. I'd say enjoy the halftime. It's downtime. It's your time to really rest, reflect, regroup, take time out, do some walking, do whatever it is that you want. But enjoy that halftime. But really think about what you enjoyed, what went well in the first half, and what you want to do in the second half. And ask lots of questions. And I'd say don't be afraid to sort of take a gamble on yourself almost, because I asked a lot of questions. I mean, there are so many people that influence my decision to go back to school. Some of them are in my organization right now. One of them hugely influenced my choice of university just because, I really took on board what everyone sort of said to me. Those who I value their opinions anyway, I went to go and speak to them, did a lot of research, lots of reading, lots of reflection, lots of walking. And I just say to anyone, yeah, it's your time. The half time is yours. Think about what you really enjoyed in the first part and what you didn't, because I think they are signals. They are signals. I mean, we all have our intuition. They're signals to tell you you can continue on that. That was good. I still need to actually watch an American football game. That's not in a movie. That's not a movie, but I need to actually watch one because it would be really good to also, to actually see what that looks like visually. But I'd say, enjoy the half. Think about.
Amazing. You are such a warm, inspirational lady, Uchenna. It's been such a pleasure to meet you, and we could talk about lots and lots of things, but we do come to the end of our time, don't we, Lee? So many takeaways, and actually we're in probably a different direction as well, and really in terms of giving people some real thought about the half time. I've never watched an American football game.
No.
But I do know it's on Sundays. I noticed that the other day, so I might watch one.
No. Yeah, that's one of my takeaways from this, to actually watch one.
Well,
Yeah.
wasn't that great? That's absolutely fantastic, Lee.
Yeah, I think my takeaway has been the hairdressing piece, actually. Treating people as people, listening, like using whatever you've got in your career and not thinking of it as a waste or a build, but going, that is part of it. And I love the bit where you talk about living your legacy now. That really, because that's an intentional choice at that point. That means that you're being conscious around your actions and your behaviors. And I think people can take a lot from that versus being swept up in the moment and being busy. And I know Lisa's got an allergic reaction to that word, but we can and we do, so it's huge. It is complex. I can't wait to continue following your journey. It'll be really exciting to where you go. And as always, we would love you to listen to this podcast, to use other episodes that you've not done. We're in series 2, so if you've missed series 1, go back and listen to it. Like, subscribe, and follow, and down below, give us your comments. One final question for you from me, Uchenna. Who should we get in this seat, in your seat right now? Who's a leader that is inspirational that you can help get in this seat for others to listen to?
Jack Star. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but I'd say Jack Star. Really inspirational to me. And I think he should be in the seat.
Nice.
We'll work with you to make that happen. Amazing. And the PAs. And the PAs.
And the PAs. That is such a good change tip. That is, I say that every time. Such a good tip.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.